What's going on, everyone? It's Kai again. Welcome back to another video. Out in the woods, sun's going down. Beautiful times, beautiful times. I want to talk today about the secure attachment style. For those of you that don't know, I know there's more, but there's 4 main attachment styles, right? You have the secure attachment style, anxious, avoidant, and what is the last one? It's just like anxious avoidant or fearful avoidant or something like that. Again, there's more than just those 4 baseline ones. Now each one is on a spectrum of low to high emotional avoidance, and then low to high anxiety. Now the secure one is low levels of emotional avoidance and low levels of anxiety, meaning you're just present in the moment. You don't have this, for the most part. Again, like, you're always, again, like, all relationships have their ups and downs and emotions, like, but for the most part, like, generally speaking, there's going to just be a very low level of anxiety and stress. You're not going to be walking on eggshells with that, with that person. You're not going to be doubting yourself. There's not going to be any fear of being vulnerable or opening up to them or voicing your concerns or your needs. Because that's a lot of times what gets the people that lean more toward the anxious attachment style in trouble. Is it's lots of anxiety, because there's a you need a lot of reassurance, and a lot of times that anxiety that comes from that fear of abandonment can cause you to not be yourself a lot. And so instead of doing what the avoidant does, which is kind of pulling away more, having a really high level of emotional avoidance, out of fear, and it's okay, it's cool. Like, all of this is, no one's perfect. No one's perfect. Like, one is not better than the other. It's just who you are and how you are. This is just the designer kit that God put in you. But it can be really hard as an anxious attachment style, because you don't really feel like you can be yourself, and your way of getting rid of that anxiety is just to push forward and to cling tighter. Where the secure is like right in the middle between I would say, how the anxious and the avoidant are. Like, I guess you get the best of both worlds with both of those. Like, you have no problem being, emotionally available, and, if it comes to it, getting really emotionally vulnerable and close to someone, but you also don't have an anxiety when you're not with them. You don't need to think about them all the time. Like, secure attachment styles, like, it's almost like, your relationship is somewhat, generally, again, generally speaking, people get caught up with my words here, the secure attachment style is like dating any other friend. When you spend time with a friend or a family member or any other person in your life, when you guys part ways, unless you're married or living together or whatever, it's just, you're not really so much thinking about them. You have, they're there. It's just almost like that feeling of, like, I know they're there. It's like when I know they're there, but I'm not gonna, so I don't have to really think about it all the time. Like, they're not going anywhere. I think of, the people that have the secure attachment style, like, they grew up in really loving and secure households where they were loved and they were taught to express themselves, and they didn't feel like they had to, earn love. They felt very deserving of love. They're very trusting of partners. They don't really have any abandonment wounds. Their parents were both there. They're caretakers. It was a stable environment. They love them. And, that's, not always the case, though. We have to play with the cards that we're dealt. But the good news is, if you feel like there's other ways to love than being emotionally avoidant, or having just too much anxiety. And again, nothing wrong with any of this. But if you feel like there's a way, that you don't want to be like that anymore, if that's just, not what you want, there is a way out of it. There is a way to move into a more secure level of dating. That's to heal the trauma, work through, the inner core childhood wounds that happened. That's where it all stems from. You have to identify where that comes from. Whether it's the abandonment wound or the rejection issues, or learning, being on the more insecure side, like learning how to love yourself, learning how to put your own needs first, learning how to have boundaries, or learning how to communicate. And I think the best daters and the best lovers, man or woman, are the ones that started out with these insecurities and these trauma wounds and these issues, and they sat through the fire, they climbed the hill, and they learned how to be the opposite through their healing. Because not only can you be an extremely empathetic human being, to if you want to, if your partner has some other types of insecurities and stuff, and you can be there for them, like you can give to them, you can fulfill their needs to make them feel safe and secure, and at the same time, you have this, you don't have that anymore either, so you can focus on giving to your partner. I mean, at the end of the day, like the purpose of a relationship is to give. If you're not giving to your partner, then what are you doing? I think it's that's why relationships are so great in the beginning. There's no expectation. You meet someone and it starts off really well, and you guys want to spend all your time together. It's new, it's fresh. There's no expectation of how you think this person should be. But then once things kind of get serious, it's the trauma comes out, the wounds come out, and the anxiety and the fear and the stress comes out, and this person doesn't text me this much, or if they don't give me this much space, you can I'm going to get hurt. I'm going to have some issues. I'm going to get angry, and the other person's doing the same thing. And then, whatever your designer kit of expectations that God put in you was, that's how you start dating someone. And then obviously most of the time they don't fulfill those expectations, and then you guys break up, and then you just move on to the next person. And I guess like the point of what I'm trying to say is that, that's a cycle that can be broken. It's repeat or evolve. And I think, a lot of times you have to go through that a lot. You have to go through it, and it's cool. Like, it's fine. Like, don't stress about that. Like, keep going through the cycle. Like, you're going to learn the lessons that you need to learn at the right time when it's ready. If you ever read a book, a verse out of the Bible or the Quran, or, any of these religious texts, and you just, like, you read it and it's beautiful and you can intellectually understand it, but you don't feel it. It doesn't impact you. And then you go through some hard lessons and go through the journey of life, and then a couple years later you read it again and you truly understand what it means. These are such like simple concepts to like intellectually understand, but to truly feel them, you need to get the life experience, and you got to keep doing what you're doing. Lean into the anxiety, lean into what, where that irrational fear is, because that's where the growth takes place. A lot of people just listen to it and continue with that status quo and never change. And it's fine. Like, it's fine. If there's nothing wrong with any of this. Like, all I'm trying to say is, I guess I'm speaking to the very, very few amount of people that are going to listen to this and want more, and just don't want to accept the status quo. And it's fine. Like, either way, I did both for a very long time. I just accepted the way things were, and had the same just runaround of relationship experience, and it was just a never-ending cycle. And I also put in, did a lot of work, started going on that path, and it was excruciating, like choosing to lean into anxiety more often than not. I think I did it a little, in hindsight, really did it a little bit too much. I didn't give myself enough grace or enough, enough love through the process. Went a little easier on myself. It's fast development, right? But, it sucks. So do it at your own pace. Lean into that anxiety, challenge those beliefs at your own pace. Do what you fear. And you can, and then eventually, like between being aware of your trauma and your wound and the root of this anxiety, I made another video on this, by the way, so if you feel inclined to, go watch it. Once you get to the root of the anxiety and where the trauma is, then that's where, then you have it in your mind and you just keep doing what you're doing, but lean into the anxiety, just knowing that this is where it comes from, this is irrational, and eventually you're going to rewrite the script and it's going to go away. And you can move to that place when you're, when you're dating someone, and you're going to also attract people that, and these are all relationships in your life. You're going to attract, people that also have a low level of anxiety and a low level of emotional avoidance. And it's going to be, for the most part, a very smooth and happy relationship. Again, I always got to say, because I'm generalizing when I say that, like, there's always going to be problems and always going to be discussions to be had. But for the most part, the secure attachment style is, it's a cool thing. It's a cool thing to be able to be in a relationship where you're just not on edge or not afraid or scared or vulnerable or leading with fear all the time. You're leading with love. That's worth it, if you ask me. I hope everyone has a great day.